I know we're live, but just a mic check.
Yeah,
Mic check. Check.
1, 2.
Jordan York on
check,
the PXP.
Check, 1, 2. Hold on a second. We've got some tanglage down there.
What's going to be the call tonight?
We are live.
Check.
Okay.
What's going to be the call tonight? Like, what is the thing you're looking forward to saying?
Check, check. We sounding good? Staying consistent? Got volume? Mic check. 3 minutes from tip-off. Well, 3 minutes from the starting lineups and the national anthem. We're about 8 minutes from tip-off, but check, check. 1, 2. Check, check. 1, 2. 8 minutes from tip-off here in historical Tysinger Gymnasium, and this one is certainly going to be interesting. You have a Southern Wesleyan team winless at home versus a Young Harris team who's fighting for the tops of the Southwest Division. It's Conference Carolinas basketball coming your way in just minutes. For the final time in the month of January, we welcome you to historical Tysinger Gymnasium for women's basketball in the Conference Carolinas. It's the Southern Wesleyan Warriors playing host to the Young Harris Mountain Lions, who are trending up at the right time, having won 8 of their last 9 and took down the Warriors in the first meeting between these teams easily, 90-57. That one taking place in Georgia. But we welcome you to Central South Carolina for this matchup, which on paper doesn't seem to be as much of a nail-biter as what it could potentially be, because historical Tysinger Gymnasium is one of the greatest environments in all of Division II college basketball. It gets incredibly loud in here, which is why it's surprising that the Warriors have yet to win a game on their home floor. My name's Jordan York alongside Colin Calvert, and we'll bring him in a minute. He actually is playing double duty, performing the public address announcing pregame, and he'll be the color commentator here in just a moment. But looking at the starting lineups for both of these teams, starting with the visiting Young Harris Mountain Lions, you've got Natalie Jojala, the guard junior from Albuquerque, New Mexico. She wears number 5. Lily Griffith in at that guard spot as well. She's number 12. Chastity Fed, another guard, number 20. Cameron Bates rounding up the small ball lineup this Young Harris team likes to go with. And then the reigning Conference Carolinas Player of the Year, Annalise Malone, in at forward. She is an incredible talent. We'll get more into her in just moments. For the home team, it's the usual starting 5. Savannah Nicholson, Peyton Lookey, Michaela Rains, Kyra Price, and Danielle Early. And we are underway, and right away the Warriors controlling the tip as Colin has made his way to the booth. Welcome inside the broadcast booth, Colin. Great job performing the public address announcing here in historical Tysinger Gymnasium. But I want to ask you, I know you're catching your breath from the run up here, but who are your players to watch in this game?
Well, obviously for Young Harris, it's going to be Cameron Bates, the transfer from Texas Southern in her 3rd season with Young Harris. She is elite from all over the court. Keep a lookout for number 25 in the black and white today. And then on the other hand, for this Southern Wesleyan team, you're looking at her. She's guarding Bates right now, and it's number 5, Peyton Lookey. She does all the dirty work for the Southern Wesleyan team, and she's got to be on her A game today in case the supporting cast doesn't do their part.
And the first bucket of the day goes to Lily Griffith, the consistent starter for this Young Harris team, averages about 4.8 points per game, but 7 rebounds. She's tremendous on the glass, and that is going to be something to watch here this afternoon. Nicholson, no good on her first 3 of the day. She continues to be ice cold as of late.
Yeah, coming off a 1 for 14 day against Mount Olive, one of her least productive afternoons. But I will say this, for Southern Wesleyan, it was almost a good sign because it forced, like I said earlier, the supporting cast to kind of take a step up in the right direction. We saw a lot of other contributors, including, who has the ball right now, Miss Danielle Early, one of her first double-digit games of the entirety of the season. Still catching my breath, of course, so give me a quick break on that, but 10 points for her against Mount Olive and was great on the boards.
Tying her career high she had against Erskine earlier this season. Griffith driving inside from that Conference Carolinas logo. She's got back-to-back made shots.
Yeah, she is the possession winner for this Young Harris team. Rebounds, effort plays, and she controls the tempo. 9 times out of 10, she's one of their go-to targets. She's undersized, but you mentioned one thing earlier, and it was the rebounds per game. She rebounds like a forward, even at her 5'7" frame.
An offensive board collected by SWU. The second chance bucket, no good there, as Danielle Early couldn't get that one to fall. A Young Harris team coming in at 13-5 on the season, 7-3 in conference, and more importantly, 4-1 in division. 1 game behind Shorter, who has yet to lose in Southwest Division play.
You got to be able to make the simple shots, especially around the rim. You might be a perimeter-heavy team, but shots need to fall. down low. That is where you got to try and silence this Young Harris team, a team that is so good in the rebound game, averaging over 12 rebounds more than their opponents so far this season.
That margin leading the Conference Carolinas, and Natalie Jojala was good on that three-pointer on the other end. Her first bucket of the day, the Western Colorado University transfer, coming all the way from Mile High City to Young Harris, Georgia, excuse me.
Yeah, and she's one of those players that you just have to let her get comfortable early. She averages around 7 attempts per game, but it's all due to her comfortability. The more comfortable she gets, the more shots she's going to attempt, and if she starts making early, she's going to be a threat.
Had 11 points in the first meeting with SWU. Young Harris off to a 7-0 run to start this game. SWU just 0 for 5 from the floor so far, yet to find themselves a make only 1 rebound so far as well.
Yeah, and keep a lookout for Michaela Raines as well for this SWU team. She's honestly been the breadwinner so far offensively. Right now leads the team in scoring, and she's quick. She penetrates well, and she gets it done down low. But, hey, she's starting to get more comfortable from out wide, which is a plus for this SWU offense.
The offensive board from Griffith. We mentioned her physicality, her ability to clean up the glass oh so well, and she's already got 2 rebounds in just the first couple minutes here tonight.
And honestly, it's been surprising that we haven't seen much more from the USC Aiken transfer, Annalise Malone. We've seen 2 missed buckets from the first team Conference Carolina selection and also Conference Carolina's Player of the Year last season.
And a Young Harris team coming off of their worst shooting performance of the season, but off to a hot start so far. 4 for 7 now from the floor, but they shot just 26% in a double overtime victory at King down in Tennessee. 63-61, the Mountain Lions emerged victorious. And it says a lot about your defense when you can shoot 26% and still win games. This is the leading defense in the Conference Carolinas. They allow just barely more than 50 points per game to their opponents. SWU still looking for their first points of the day, and not going to find it there is Raines, the leading scorer for this Southern Wesleyan team, a 2-time state champion in track and 2-time all-region member in basketball in high school, averaging about, correction, I was talking about the wrong person.
About to say.
The Karen U transfer averaged just under 20 minutes per game in her first season with SWU last season, but now has 14.6. I got Raines and Ransom mixed up. They're right next to each other on the sheet. Of course, Ransom, somebody we'll see check in this game here later on. But we're already going to a timeout, and Southern Wesleyan has a big old goose egg. It's 9-0 Mountain Lions on the Conference Carolinas Digital Network. Welcome back to historical Tysinger Gymnasium. A 9-0 lead here with 4:57 to play in the opening period of play. And a Southern Wesleyan team with a goose egg. And coming off of what many would call a surprising loss to Mount Olive last Friday. Of course, that game being rescheduled due to the eventual ice/snowstorm that hit all of the Southeast last weekend. But Colin, what was your assessment in what took place in that Mount Olive loss?
There were 2 things. One was turnovers, and one was consistency shooting, as we see the miss from Savannah Nicholson. But that second and third quarter combined for SWU after a very competitive first quarter, they went a total of 8 for 33 from the field, 1 for 12 from 3. The rhythm disappeared as we see the steal forced by Lookie. Back to my point later.
Lookie takes it away, takes it inside, and she will head to the free throw line. So perhaps SWU finally going to get on the board. Lookie, one of the better free throw shooters on this team, and she will have her chance at the stripe. But in all reality, this is a Southern Wesleyan team from the free throw line. It's quite poor, 61% on the season. Lookie, though, a 70% free throw shooter.
Back to the earlier point of what happened against Mount Olive, the job couldn't get done in regards to the ball handling ability. There were 17 turnovers converted into 18 points off turnover for Mount Olive. And you see the score, those turnovers flipped the entire script and allowed Mount Olive to push forward through a pretty gritty and ugly game.
And the job couldn't get done from the free throw line right there, but it does from 3. Jojala, her second made 3 of the day. And a steal from the Mountain Lions on the prowl the other way. And off the glass and good is Chastity Fed, the junior from Douglasville, Georgia. Came off the bench in all but one game last season, but tonight making her 12th start. That jump you make from a sophomore to a junior in both maturity and skill level, and she's displaying that here tonight.
Yeah, her game has improved so much since last season. You really said it perfectly. You could see someone that came off the bench pretty consistent, made an impact, but now becoming a surefire starter. I say she's kind of the glue of this entire team. She's got great vision, a high basketball IQ, and her paint presence is something to look out for. You can tell that she's one of the people that really isn't too avid on getting out wide. She has teammates that can do the job for her, but her inside the stripes right near the Conference of Carolina's logo is elite.
And she's got 4 points so far. All 3 scorers for Young Harris have 4 or more points. Another timeout, this one called by SWU head coach John Davis.
One thing we got to look out for right now is the trend of the defensive effort from Young Harris. You look at what they hold opponents to on a regular night basis, 53.3 points, while averaging 12 more than that. The defensive capabilities paired alongside a really great offensive scheme is very dangerous against this SWU team that already kind of has some poor schematics going early on in this game. If something doesn't change now, we're going to be seeing quite an ugly game, and that's one of my biggest points on this SWU team is they cannot win whenever it's ugly and slow. They're a rhythm-based team. They like to force the turnover at times, but more often than not, it's them getting the turnover forced upon. They can't win the ugly matches, and we've seen that so often. The close games can't be pushed through. As we go back to Young Harris in possession, SWU grabs their first point.
Savannah Nicholson, the only one on the scoreboard here early for the Warriors. And I mentioned in the opener that this, on paper, seems like it would be a blowout, but has the potential to be a nail-biter. Colin, I'm going to ask you, what does SWU have to do to make this end up being a nail-biter? Because Young Harris off to a 16-1 run to open this game.
Slow the pace. You have to be the thermostat, not the thermometer. I know I've mentioned that more often than not as we see a quick 2 points from the Warriors, but it's got to be a tempo controller. Young Harris, if you can really razzle-dazzle them, frazzle them a bit as well, then they'll be stopped shy. But you got to make sure that you control all 3 levels of the court. That starts in the paint. The paint defense has got to be there, and right now there is no true paint presence for this SWU team.
Cameron Bates good inside for her first points of the night, coming off a career-high 26 in the double overtime win. And Nicholson fires a 3. It's no good. And now racing the other way is Griffith, and she'll draw the contact and head to the free throw line. (18-3).
Yeah, this one's obvious, but another point that I could make to where SWU makes this a nail-biter, you got to make shots. You're 1 for 13 from the field. You've got some of your best scorers just heaving up shots. We've seen Lookie, who honestly has been one of the most systematical players. She does it right 95% of the time, but this game has been that 5%. She has just heaved up shots on a hope and a prayer, whether she's trying to draw fouls or not, but it has not been pretty from one of their top scorers as we see a quick 2 come way of Rhiannon Saller.
And she made that one look easy. And you mentioned your point about Lookie. Had 21 points here against Shorter, just 3 against Mount Olive here as well. This wrapping up a 3-game homestand, and she has almost as many points as she had in the loss against Mount Olive with 2. The only made field goal for the Warriors so far. And
no basket will be counted.
Denied.
Yeah. Sorry to take your thunder there, but
You're good.
No basket there. The whistle was blown before the shot went in. 21-3. And something you got to look out for with this SWU team is the trend of the home games. 0-7 is Southern Wesleyan here in historic Theisinger. That is something that has to be fixed. The home court advantage is a huge thing.
And just too easy. Another made layup for Rhiannon Saller. She's now got 6 points, 3 for 3 from the floor, and that's now 16 points in the paint for Young Harris to just 2 for SWU.
Well, it's funny because they held the USC Aiken transfer to 0. A fat goose egg last time these two teams met. They knew how to control her paint presence. Now, it seems the strategy has changed. For her, it's been pure domination. Won't get the foul called even though there was skin-to-skin contact. We have a minute left here in this first quarter.
And while they may have stopped Saller in the first meeting, that was about the only person they stopped as everybody was getting on the board, including Annalise Malone, who had led the way with 20 points in the 90-57 victory. But the final minute of play in period number 1 is upon us. Couple new bodies in the game for Young Harris. Knee kick, one of them, and she is Cash from beyond the arc.
Catch and shoot guard she is. Born and bred to be one. Barely touches the paint. She wants those clean perimeter chances, and she got one right there and lit up the scoreboard.
Katia knee kick. Good from beyond the arc. The second made 3 for Young Harris, and they've only attempted 3. That's a pretty good percentage. To round out the first period, perhaps more points, making it easy to end the first quarter. Annalise Malone wraps up a 28-3 first period of play. And those Mountain Lions are roaring early. You can hear the excitement all the way up here in the booth, and the crowd that's here this evening, stunned silence, mostly on the home side, of course, so you can't see them because of our camera angle, but 28-3, Young Harris leads after 1. Oh my, SWU needs quite the comeback when we return. Back live and ready for the second period of play here in historic Theisinger Gymnasium. Jordan York alongside Colin Calvert. And while we may be ready for period number 2, and I know Young Harris is, I don't know that SWU is. What do you think was said in that between quarter media timeout what can you say if you're head coach John Davis and you just watch that happen?
Where's the ball movement? We've seen little to no passing presence from SWU so far today. It's a little bit of selfish play.
And that might help the cause a little bit as Michaela Raines is able to take it away. Take it inside. The floater is good. And finally a little bit of momentum coming back to the Warriors. But again, just quick-paced down the court. Young Harris wasting absolutely no time. They go to Saller, who kicks it out. Beautiful ball movement from Young Harris. And Malone, her three-pointer is good.
You had a monster game against King, 14 points, 23 rebounds. The three-point shooting hasn't been there, but she's capable and proves it right there beyond the arc.
Malone, a 33% three-point shooter coming into this game. She's 1 for 2 so far. The mid-range attempt not going to fall as Kyra Price couldn't get that one to go. The 6-foot sophomore from Fredericksburg, Virginia. And one of the things, Colin, that I think SWU has struggled with this season, and you and I have kind of talked about it off air, is their youth, their leadership. There doesn't seem to be a clear leader for this team. There's not a single senior on this team. So it seems like nobody really is able to take that charge in the locker room and say, I'm the girl.
It all comes down to how bad you want it. You can want to win, but if you're not willing to push your teammates and hold them accountable to try and get that win, because there have been plenty of mess-ups and plenty of opportunities for accountability to be given to your teammates. I haven't seen little to any of that. If you're a team that has to be constantly coached and corrected by your coach, that's a team that's set up to fail. If you have players that are willing to step up and take that leadership role, you have a fighting chance. Because if you see your peer wanting to win, you feed off that energy. And right now, SWU needs that. The body language isn't great. Chins are tucked, heads are held low. And right now, there's got to be a change in momentum energy-wise. That's what needs to be figured out. Someone has got to take the step up, throw away the crutches, and start holding this team accountable. And it can't be their head coach. It can't be John Davis. He's in his 16th year. He's thinking to himself, I need somebody to take the brunt load of this leadership system, and it can't be me.
And driving inside, Malone, the leader for Young Harris. She couldn't get that shot to go, trying to beat the shot clock. And now Nicholson, who's been just ice cold lately. We've talked about it. 4 for 23 in the last 2 games, and now 4 for 26, including her shots tonight. But seems like nobody for Southern Wesleyan can make a shot. And Malone, again, can't get that one off the front rim, but Griffith, the hustle play, the offensive rebound. Young Harris is just out blanking everything for Southern Wesleyan. They're out shooting, they're out hustling, they're out playing, and they are out scoring by 26. But there's a good start. Lexi Ransom, who I was talking about earlier, the 2-time state champion in track, 2-time all-region member in basketball. She finally is able to get a 3 on the board, the first of 7 made attempts.
And SWU needed that badly. They needed somebody to come in there and be the spark plug, and that's what Lexi Ransom has been all season. The Wyoming native has done so much good over the past 2 seasons. Production has dipped slightly over the course of this year, but the pure catch and shooter has been lethal, and so has Kyra Price.
Kyra Price, her 13th made 3 of the year, comes in at 32% from beyond the arc on the season. And this SWU team as a whole, 31%. So not tremendous from the three-point line, but they're starting to feel a little bit of a rhythm, it seems, and get back in this game. Malone, though, can't be left wide open because she'll be nothing but net.
I'm sure that's one thing that John Davis is trying to instill, was the fact that, hey, when it comes to Bates, crash the board on her, force her to kick it out, but whenever you have Malone waiting for you outside, It's going to be dangerous.
And what a response there from Michaela Raines, making it rain from downtown.
That's what you want. You want one of your best shooters to get hot. Here in the second quarter, this is whenever you have a chance to make that comeback. It was a great first quarter last game against Mount Olive for SWU. It was not the case here. That second and third quarter, the middle ground has to be what changes. And right now, SWU's starting to turn things around.
Malone got off to a slow start, but she has quickly picked up 10 points. Another three. This one not going to fall. Price couldn't make luck strike twice. And driving inside. That'll be a foul as we saw the smack on the back of the head.
Yeah, Price was 0 for 3 against Mount Olive from the perimeter. It's not her strong suit. She really needs to establish herself down low. But, of course, right now they do have Trinity Nesbitt in, the freshman out of Greenville, South Carolina, to kind of take the brunt load of the rebounding game and the paint or perimeter to the paint kind of job, I guess you could say, because someone needs to establish some sort of role there. Someone needs to either be a rebounder or a primary scorer in the paint. And right now, SWU's been looking for that all season. And they have plenty of players that can do that. It's just who's going to step up to the plate.
And one of the things I'd ask you as a defensive mind in basketball, when you're down this much, how do you stop giving up wide open looks? Because it seems everything for Young Harris has been incredibly easy so far, almost uncontested mostly.
Well, so far we've seen a lot of the help side defense struggle. We haven't seen anybody slide to help. We haven't seen anyone communicate. There's been little to no communication on the side of the SWU defense. And so once you get the communication, you start talking and you start seeing what's happening around the entirety of the court, then things will start changing. You have to communicate well. As a team, that is the foundation of if you win or you lose. It's the communication.
Just 1 second on this shot clock. A catch and shoot situation here. We're going to see a substitution as Griffith will head to the bench.
Likely they're going to find this one to either Ransom or Race, who's sitting there waiting for her in the paint. Nicholson.
The offensive board after Nicholson's miss. And another missed opportunity from distance as Emily Gamon couldn't get that one to go.
Yeah, Gamon was a standout third-tier scorer there at Abraham Baldwin Agricultural. She was averaging around 6 points per game and was really defensive-minded. She's been a pretty good contributor defensively so far this season, but she's had less of a scoring option. That needs to change. Only 4 made threes so far on the season. And it's all about comfortability. Do you feel comfortable with that shot or are you forcing it? That's really the biggest thing for SWU. They have to find a rhythm, and it takes being comfortable. When Young Harris has done a great job at bringing the uncomfortable, bringing that kind of forced, uncategorized, unorganized rhythm that SWU really does not work well upon. And just like that, we'll take ourselves a quick break. 37-14, less than 5 to go.
.448 to play here in half number one. 37-14. Young Harris leads SWU, and 20 points in the paint for Young Harris. Only 14 total points for Southern Wesleyan. And, you know, we've spent a lot of this broadcast, Colin, talking about how a combination of how easy it's been for Young Harris and how poor SWU has really been playing defensively. But I think we got to take some time and give credit to the coaching for Young Harris, because head coach Lindsey Huffman has led Young Harris to the winningest 5 seasons in program history since joining that Division II level. And last season, this was a team that received votes for the NCAA tournament in the Southeast region, a back-to-back semifinalist in the Conference Carolinas. Let's not undersell the fact this is a great basketball team that has a genuine shot at a Conference Carolinas title this season.
Yeah, this is definitely championship caliber, and you've seen it in the way the defense has been working. Is a forced shot from Savannah Nicholson will go awry, and it's Young Harris ball, and they're quick to the scene.
And making it easy is Saller, the USC Aiken transfer. You know, she struggled a little bit with consistency this season. She's yet to string together back-to-back 10-point games. She was scoreless, though, at King, and now she's got 8 so far tonight.
Yeah, but you got to go back and you got to see she wasn't the primary piece of that puzzle. It was Bates who sat the table and fed her that ball, the no-look pass in the paint, while having multiple defenders right in your face. Beyond impressive, and she just keeps getting fed down low.
And fed for 3, not there. And you mentioned fed. Let's not get that confused with number 20, Chastity Fed for Young Harris. Different kind of fed. Talking about feeding, ball distribution. Just for anybody who wasn't sure about that, as Nicholson finally is able to make a shot.
Well, that's what you need from Savannah Nicholson. You need adjustment. You got to say, hey, I've so far today had little to no luck from out wide. I'm 0 for 5 from 3. That is the entirety of my shot selection. Let me change things up a bit. Let me get this defense a little bit unsettled because they don't know her as a primary paint player. If she starts finding a rhythm down low, she might be lethal.
And Nicholson almost has double the three-point attempts of her teammates, but Jojala is terrific from the three-point line, has been today. She's now 3 for 4.
Man, I tell you what, her ceiling is incredible. Get her going early. She might be the main reason that this SWU team falls today. Already 2 for 3 out wide. Make that 3 for 4 out wide. So already 9 points just to her, and that's a part of the 42 points that Young Harris has already collected. You got to watch out on the perimeter for Jojala.
She was 3 for 8 in the first meeting at home against SWU. Had 11 points in that one. She's got 9 tonight. And another just missed easy shot from inside. That one by Deanna Hayes. And all sorts of bodies going to the floor on SWU's end.
There's got to be the heads-up look for an extra pass. It's been a take it to the rim, and that's it. Or shoot the 3, that's it. Young Harris on the other end, they might have that open look. They're still kicking it out wide to the better opportunity. Find the great pass, not the good one.
And that was a great look right there. Saller just couldn't get it to fall as she was seeking to join Malone in double-digit scoring. A couple Mountain Lions are very close to that mark. Jojala and Saller at 9 and 8 points respectively. But SWU got to start going on a run, and that's a good way to start it as Gamon is able to make a layup and cut the lead to 24. But poor defense on the opposing end, and Rhiannon Saller has really caused problems for SWU. The 6-foot senior, you wouldn't think is going to cause that many problems for SWU because SWU's a tall team. They're not one of your smaller teams in the Conference Carolinas. But for some reason, they can't guard Saller. She is on fire today, and speaking of on fire, somebody who's not but trying to get back there is Peyton Lookey.
Yeah, Lookey, who has been such a strong asset on the defensive side, right now leads the team in steals with 57, grabs her 58th right there, just nailed the 3. We'll see if she can do it again.
And she was the sole presence on the scoreboard in the loss against Shorter. That was a nail-biter here at historic Tysinger Gymnasium. She put on a show, had 21 points, but just couldn't get much help from her supporting cast. And that kind of seems to be a trend with Southern Wesleyan. One goes off but the rest don't step up as knee kick, another three-pointer. She's got 2. Young Harris has 7 made three-pointers on 12 attempts in this first half.
The quick kick out to me kick was all you needed. She's fine taking those contested threes with the left hand, and guarding a lefty's difficult. You have to basically rearrange her body to try and outmatch, outclass, and try to defend the shot because those can be lethal, and she's left wide open here.
And knee kick can't get that one to go. A final chance perhaps for SWU at the buzzer from half court. And that one not quite gonna fall. What a first half for Young Harris. A team that averages about 65 points per game had 47 in the first 20 minutes of play and held SWU to 21. They are rolling heading in to halftime. But, as they always say, better to be hot in the second half than the first. Can SWU make a comeback for the ages? We'll find out in 15 minutes. Back for the final 2 quarters of play, and SWU hopefully back from their shooting slump as they were just 8 for 34 in the first half of play. Just 21 points compared to the Young Harris Mountain Lions, who were 19 for 35 and put up 47. It's the second half of play here from historic Tysinger Gymnasium. My name is Jordan York alongside Colin Calvert. And Colin, I've got to ask you, and I know there's 95 answers to this question, but just give me 1 or 2. What do you think SWU is adjusting going into this second half in order to try and get back in this game?
They're not rushing as many shots as they were there in the first period. Second period was phenomenal. 18 points, 7 for 19 shooting, around 40%, which is fine. First period was abysmal. 3 points, 1 for 15, and a 25% free throw percentage as well. You're missing 1 for 4 from the charity stripe. That's free opportunities, and Michaela Raines left wide open on the perimeter, cashes in a free bucket. Yeah, but you got to stop forcing shots when they're not there. Find the good look. No, find the great look. Pass up the good look, find the great one. And that's what SWU needs to work on, a team-first mindset.
Your top 3 scorers in Raines, Nicholson, and Lookie, just a combined 4 for 18 in that first half. And Raines couldn't get the foul called right there. Now it's Fed, headed the other way, kicking out for 3, and a foul is called. And the foul there goes on Nicholson, and the frustration continuing to grow because Nicholson, 5 for her last 29 from the field and 0 for 5 today. And it's not good when three-point shooting is your specialty. And it looks like actually it was Nicholson who got teed up a technical foul because Malone is at the free throw line uncontested, and she makes 1 of 2 attempts. I'm not really sure what happened there, Colin. I had a whole point in mind, but instead I'm just going to ask, could you tell why there was a technical foul there? I didn't see anything. But
neither did I. Maybe a bit too much contact. Nicholson has been known to get into foul trouble as the season's gone along. She may be tiny, but she is mighty, and she is fine with putting an arm out there, lowering the shoulder every once in a while. I'm just glad to see that her game started to adjust more towards the paint. She's starting to get used and familiar with the unfamiliar, which is that paint presence. She's usually a strictly three-point shooter. She's got to start working other parts of the court.
And that 3 for Griffith, no good. And SWU, Savannah Nicholson with the rebound. She's got just 3 points. Raines leads the way with 8. Malone leads the day with 11. Raines for 3. Off the back iron, and that one won't fall. Malone, an easy rebound, and she's 1 away from a double-double.
Raines is used to the high volume amount of shots. It's all about the consistency, though. That's what needs to be figured out as we see the quick 3 yet again from the likes of Jojola. She has been elite, 4 for 5 today.
Only 1 game Jojala has had this season where she's made more than 4 threes. She made 5 at one point against Emmanuel. Was 4 for 7 from 3 actually, so tying her season high in made 3-pointers. And that 3 for Southern Wesleyan, a nice answer as Nicholson finally got one to go.
And honestly, I think that's what she needed. She needed to see that rim open up as Kyra Price, a lethal block.
Griffith, a nice job on the block, but an even better response from Chastity Fed, able to beat the buzzer with that layup, and now she has 6 points. 53-27. It seems like SWU just can't seem to gain much ground. Nicholson fires, and that hit every inch of the rim, but would not fall.
Yeah, just a bad roll there, but I love Nicholson continuing to shoot after that first make and the way that it went. I want to see more and more of that. I want to see that confidence continue to rise, and the way she does that is by shooting more because, hey, if you're not shooting, you're not scoring.
Malone, no good on the opportunity there, and then it was Lily Griffith who picked up the foul.
And 0 for 5 over the last 5 attempts is SWU. We'll see if Lookie can change that. Looking for the opportunity, she finds Price.
With 15 on the shot clock. A complete miscommunication there, as not even looking for the ball was Deanna Hayes, and Price threw it away. And Colin, you're not even a basketball head coach, but you're scratching your head about that one.
Yeah, I was expecting Hayes to kind of take that jab step left, get the ball, drive back to her right. But also we saw Price try and set the screen, so maybe it was going to be Hayes working around top of the key. Don't exactly know what was going on in the heads there, but it was a big miscommunication, and that goes back to a point that I made early on in the first half, which was you got to talk. Offense, defense, you got to be vocal on the floor. And that all stems to the leadership as we see Jojola launch a three up and bang it in.
5 made three-pointers and another just defensive collapse from Southern Wesleyan.
There has been no help defensively, and it all starts with the communication.
Jojola tying her season high with 15 points and looking possibly for more. Griffith headed the other way, kicking out for 3, driving inside and unable to get that one to go, but another offensive rebound. Fed. And Fed for 3 is good! The 10th made 3.
"30 points from the perimeter, 29 from the paint. It's been nothing short of dominance for Young Harris so far. The quick turnaround 2 from Price won't fall. Jojola the rebound.
And Griffith kicks out another 3, and that one just a bit too strong.
Yeah, she prefers the 3. She will force the paint shots if necessary, but no need.
Fed on target as she fires and connects her second made 3, and she's got 12 points. Perfect from beyond the arc. 5 for 7 now on the day just from the field. And she takes it away. Fed putting on a show. Off the glass, can't get it to go. The second chance from Bates. And Young Harris is putting on a clinic defensively, offensively.
Yeah, I'll say this. Bates is showing that upperclassman leadership. Says, hey, look, I'm going to be the help. I'm going to be the support in case this doesn't go in. And guess what? It didn't. She was there on cleanup duty. Grabs a quick 2 that could have been left off the board for Young Harris. Not like they needed any more points.
This is a Young Harris team that has been dominant in the last 3 meetings with Southern Wesleyan, winning by 23.7 points per game. They won by 33 in the first meeting this year, and they lead by 37 in the third quarter with 4 minutes to play. More Conference Carolinas action when we return. .401 to play here in quarter number 3. 64-27. Young Harris leading Southern Wesleyan. And I don't know what it is, Colin, about historic Tysinger Gymnasium. You would think your home court is friendly to you, but it just has not been for Southern Wesleyan this season. Kind of taking you through why that's the case, although it can't really be explained. Started with a couple close losses to some South Atlantic Conference opponents in the conference crossover, and then it really has just extended into Conference Carolinas play. They can't get anything to go their way when they're at home. They have an almost 500 record on the road, but not being able to win at home is certainly odd. You would think it'd be the other way around. You struggle on the road, but you're good at home in front of your crowd. That's just not been the case for this season and what's been a frustrating season for SWU.
Frustrating is one way to say it. And the more points that are piled on by Young Harris, the more frustrating it gets. You expect the home record to have been at least skewed in your favor halfway through the season, but here you're in the last quarter of it all, and you're sitting here at 0-7 in historic Tysinger. Something's got to change, and I just don't know what it is. Whether it be the noise, whether it be the crowd, usually those things go in your favor, but nothing has faced any of the teams that have come in to this matchup or to any matchup against SWU.
Bates, the layup good on the other end. She's got 7 points, and she's got 8 assists tonight. A season high in assists. Annalise Malone, the double-double with 11 points, 10 rebounds. Jojala leading the way with 15 for Young Harris. But you take the top 2 scorers for Young Harris in Jojala and Fed. They equal Southern Wesleyan's entire team. Well, now they trail by 1 after that looky free throw, but it has been just everybody putting on a show here tonight. Knee kick, another made bucket inside, her third. She's got 8 points.
Now, granted, you would think this matchup would be a bit more neck and neck, and that's not looking back at the previous matchup between these two, because that was in no way, shape, or form neck and neck. But this is a SWU team that put up a really good fight against Shorter, of whom Young Harris lost to by 6. You would be sitting here thinking, hey, this one could be pretty even. Southern Wesleyan has that home court advantage. Southern Wesleyan has a pretty decent crowd. Of course, you can't see them. You're looking at the visitor side, but there is plenty of people on the home side rooting for their Southern Wesleyan Warriors. But something just hasn't gone SWU's way, and it's been, well, I hate to say this, but everything. Nothing has gone way of SWU today, and it all started there in the first quarter. That kind of set the precedent for the rest of the game, and it was a very lackadaisical shooting quarter. And second quarter, you'd think there would be a redemption arc. Third quarter came along. It's been about the same story as the first, but just 4 more points. 7 total points here in the third period, 2 for 9.
Southern Wesleyan has 28 points tonight. Young Harris had 28 in the first quarter. It's just been that kind of night here in Central South Carolina, but for Southern Wesleyan fans who are here at historic Tysinger, they hope that's not the case for our second game, because we've got another clash of the Titans as the Warriors and the Mountain Lions for the men's teams will meet here in historic Tysinger. You've got Jaquay Randolph, who was really shut down the last time those teams met in Young Harris when the Mountain Lions won by 25. And you've got Carl Cleveland, the nation's leading scorer, makes his way to Central. Don't miss it. Colin takes over the lead commentary duties for that one here on the Conference Carolinas Digital Network, starting at about 7-ish, depending on when this game concludes.
Yeah, you've got a SWU men's team that's starting to feel really good. 2 straight wins, and they've been pretty impressive in conference play. Taking down Shorter, taking down Mount Olive in overtime. They're really starting to see the cards unfold, and they're starting to see what it looks like to win, and they are close to undefeated at home, 7-2 so far this season in historic Theisinger. A minute and a half to go here as Raines kicks it inside.
And out of bounds, possession will stay with the Warriors, and more on that game, and obviously we'll talk about it during the second broadcast quite a bit, but a win for Southern Wesleyan tonight could put them at the top of the Southwest Division, well, at least in a three-way tie, because Shorter also has that mark of 3-2, who Southern Wesleyan beat here last week. If they can beat Young Harris, they could potentially all be tied at 4-2 at the end of the night.
(68-28). The fourth quarter has, for Southern Wesleyan, got to be one of speed, of shooting, and honestly of just consistency. You don't want to stay consistent with how you've been in the first and the third, as we see Chochola nail yet another three-pointer. That time, 6 for 7 is her total tally. New season high.
You talk about consistency.
Golly.
Chochola has been incredibly consistent, and Michaela Raines has been consistent as well throughout this season. You're looking at the leading scorer for this team, a career-high 33 points versus Lise McRae. She's had 15-plus points per game in 6 of the last 7, just 10 tonight.
You know, Jordan, one thing we have to look out tonight is the rebound margin. 41 rebounds for Young Harris, 13 in total for SWU. Now, Young Harris keeping with the same narrative they've seen all season, and that's staying above 40 rebounds per game on average. 35 rebounds is the mark that Southern Wesleyan tries to hit per game as Raines, nothing but nylon, drains it. Makes it yet again a 40-point game. Jordan, your thoughts on that rebound margin that we've seen?
Well, that explains the score, because Young Harris, one of the best rebounding teams in the conference, Carolinas, and no sugarcoating it, Southern Wesleyan, one of the worst rebounding teams in the conference, Carolinas. But with 10 more minutes of basketball, perhaps the deficit can be made a little bit more respectable. We'll see if that happens when we return. 73-33, the Mountain Lions on their way to another conference victory. Ten minutes to play here at historic Theisinger Gymnasium as SWU tries to mount a 40-point comeback. You know the score here. You don't know the scores across the Conference of Carolinas. So, Colin, tell us kind of what happened last night, because the majority of the games were last night, not having to be rescheduled due to weather. And then what's happening tonight, because a couple other games did have to get rescheduled, such as this one. Tell us what is going on.
Well, we just saw SWU drain a quick 2. That adds a few more points to their board. But last night it was a night of close matches, besides for 2. UNC Pembroke took on Barton, won by a measly 3. That one took place in Wilson, North Carolina. Then we saw some OT between Lise McRae and Ferrum, 2 that are sitting near the bottom of the barrel in regards to the conference. But hey, 2 bad teams makes for some good play and even plays. Nicholson finds nothing but air there, 68-63. And Erskine got their butts handed to them by Emmanuel, 110-64. Some BTB. And then Francis Marion took down Mount Olive 69-47. Francis Marion has been top of the conference for quite some time now, and North Greenville Converse went at it there in Spartanburg, South Carolina, as we see the steal with Lexi Ransom getting in on the action. 67-61 the final score in favor of the Valkyries. Michaela Raines, quick pull-up two and won't go.
The offensive board and the second chance opportunity for Deanna Hayes. She has her first points tonight.
Yeah, she missed a chunk of time around the new year. Finally getting back in a groove. Just needs to see the rebounding more and more often. She needs to have her hands sticky and ready to be able to grab any ball that comes her way. That's really what she was brought in to do, to be a primary rebounder. And so far it's around 5.1 per game. It's not great, but it's also not awful. She's been the primary go-to for the boards. Just need to see a bit more from her.
Bates at the free throw line, and she is no good on her first. Just 1 for 3 from the line tonight. A 68% free throw shooter on the season. Gets the second to go, and so she's 50% on both trips to the line tonight.
Look, I just got to point out that this was a Young Harris team that beat Toccoa Falls 105-21 earlier this season. And one thing about their head coach, Lindsey Huffman, is that she is all gas, no brakes, no matter who they're up against. That's why even with the 40 or 30-plus point lead, the starters remain in for Young Harris. They're really about getting as many in-game reps for these girls as they can because they know they're trying to go all the way with this starting five. And
Young Harris really is a puzzling team, to say the least, because you mentioned that 105-21 victory against Toccoa Falls. They had a game earlier this season they lost, 44-28 against Belmont Abbey. But then they go and beat Southern Wesleyan 90-57, and who knows what's going to happen by the end of this one.
Well, the momentum carried in from Belmont Abbey into the Anderson game as well. They had 2 straight losses. One of the only chunk of losses that they've had all season is Lookie. Can't bring that one down. Lost that one by 11 to the SAC opposition. But one thing about Young Harris is that they know how to bounce back. And they've done it, and they've done it well.
And another trip to the free throw line. This one will be for Jojala, who's continuing her incredible night. A new season high in 18 points. More to come, perhaps, at the charity stripe. Also has 8 rebounds.
We haven't seen much free throw action today. Both teams with 8 tries so far on the day. Both percentages have been, I've used this word a lot, abysmal so far today. 50% for Young Harris, 25% for SWU. But a quick make will help the issue as we see Nicholson.
And she draws contact, will head to the line, and that might have been a little bit of a generous call. It didn't seem to be the most physical. But 20 points now for Jojala. Nicholson, 6.
Looking for 7. And she finds it. One thing about Nicholson is that whenever you're a smaller player and you're driving down low, you have more of an opportunity to draw the foul, especially whenever the boards were crashed and a bit of bouncing off the opponents happened. You said generous, you could say that, but also clear-cut that there was contact there. What she should have done was hesitated, kicked it out to Lookie, who had the open look, and let it play out from there. Got to be looking for the extra option. You can never settle on one straight thing. You have to be very open-minded when it comes to basketball. because there are always going to be better looks than the one you have unless you're wide open.
Let me take you back to December 3rd here in just a moment as another three is launched, and that one goes short. Rhiannon Soller couldn't get it to go. But the first meeting between these teams, SWU had the lead after the first quarter. They then fell in the second half, really. That was their detriment. They were outscored 45-21. Tonight, they were outscored 28-3 in the first quarter. And they've been outscored in every quarter so far except the fourth, but still plenty of time to go as Malone fires, and that one not going to fall and thrown into the crowd trying to save it. A good effort there from Soller.
Yeah, we've gone 4 minutes without seeing a field goal from Young Harris. All 3 points have been found from the free throw line. Jajola, a big part of that. And then for SWU, 2 field goals made, 2 free throws made alongside it. And we see a 76-39 game.
Price pulls it from mid-range, and that one short off the front of the iron.
Got to finish. You got to follow through the shot. It's more of a push than a flick of the wrist. Have to be able to finish shots like that, especially whenever you're able to create space like she is. I love the little hezzy step that she had, the jab step with the right, step back with the left. Love that move, but you got to be able to finish shots like that.
The rebound margin the last time these teams met was 40-20 in favor of Young Harris. And
we can go ahead and look back around the Conference of Carolinas, 36-30. Approaching halftime for King and Shorter, and King has the 6-point lead.
The turnaround, close range shot, Jojala, 22 points. Quite frankly, she can't miss as Young Harris doubles up SWU 78-39. And another rebound. Racing ahead are the Lions.
50 total rebounds from Young Harris. And it shows, like you said, Jordan, in the score. 80-39, a 41-point game here for SWU. The comeback in less than 5 minutes, likely not to happen. But hey, pride is on the line. A few makes here and there might help, but no support down low as Bates, who's limping across the court now, fell wrong on her ankle, hoping all is well with her, but grabs a quick 2, 82-39.
And Southern Wesleyan this season, the last time they took a beating this bad, it was against North Georgia, one of the premier teams in the southeast region of the country. They lost 121-64. They now trail tonight by 41. Still 4:26 to play, so they can cut that deficit a little bit. But Young Harris rolling here tonight, continuing to dominate as of late in the series with SWU on their way to their 8th conference victory. (82-41) with 4:26 to play here at historic Tysinger Gymnasium. And you know, not that what we do is scripted, but we come to games with a bunch of notes, preparing lots of research on every team. You think of things you kind of want to mention throughout the broadcast, things you want to say. I think we can throw all that out the window at this point because neither of us were expecting the beatdown that Young Harris has delivered here in Central. At Young Harris, okay, it makes a little more sense. You're on your home court. You got a packed house. It adds up. You're a good team. All the variables check out. But you're on the road. You're in a hostile environment. You're playing a team that just played one of the best teams in the Conference Carolinas to a single-digit margin, and you're up now 42.
Someone I've been really excited to watch has been Hannah Dunn, the sophomore center out of Auckland, New Zealand. 6'5". I don't think I've ever seen a 6'5" woman in my life. And yet, here she is already dishing out assists and helping put up points on the board. 84-42. The thing is, SWU did better against Wofford College. If you look back at that score, a D1 opponent based out of Spartanburg, South Carolina, than they are right now against this Young Harris team, who's gone ahead and put in a lot of substitutions to kind of get their girls a bit more opportunity depth-wise, as we see Lexi Ransom stepping over to the training table.
And that is something SWU cannot afford. Already missing a few pieces due to injury and other reasons this season, but you can't afford to lose one of your best returning scorers in Ransom. One you could argue is a potential leader for this team. Was here last season, was in the top 5 in scoring, and that could be a huge loss, but hoping all is okay as she gets evaluated by the medical staff.
You had 157 points last season. She was a baller. And this year, just 75. Of course, 78 now, adding the 3 that she's had from earlier today. But so far, it's been a lack of production from her and overall for this SWU team. But again, we mentioned this earlier, this is a young team, not a single senior on the roster. So you got to sit here and think it's only up from here, right, Jordan?
And only up from here is that floater from Nikic, as now she has 10 points. And the floater almost hit the shot clock, but found its way through the net. And you got to think, yeah, it is only up from here, because I don't think things could be much worse. It's hard to lose by more than 44. So you've got to think that they're going to take this game, and they're going to, obviously it's going to leave a bitter taste in their mouths, but they're going to hit the floor at practice and get back to work and look ahead to their next Conference Carolinas matchup, which, oh boy, is at Francis Marion. So the hits keep on coming, but maybe a surprise could be in store in Florence, South Carolina, as the Patriots, maybe with a Warriors team that's just sick and tired of what they've had to deal with this season, sick and tired of losing. Maybe they take that motivation and can surprise some people here in Florence on Saturday. And then they're back home for 3 more home games against Barton, Chowan, and Erskine.
3 winnable matchups.
Nicholson, 3 points.
Hey, 5 points in back-to-back possessions. And we'll see a media timeout taking place. We'll take it with him here on the Conference of Carolina's digital network. 86-47. Hey, less than 40.
Back for the final minute and 55 seconds of play. And for those of you just joining us and seeing that scoreboard, you're probably like, how the heck did that happen? Well, Colin, take us through how.
Well, it happened by having 6 players in double digits. And it happened from a domination of the rebound game. 51 total rebounds, and I mentioned the 6 players in double-digit scoring. Fed with a quiet 12. She was 5 for 9 from the field. Bates obviously went off, but not for as many as you think. Tonight wasn't really the night where she needed to. She had a great supporting cast around her, had 10 points. And then Malone, 13 for the first-team All-Conference Carolinas player and Conference Carolinas Player of the Year as well. Then Jojola went insane. 7 for 8 from the field, 6 for 7 from 3. Here's a 3, and that one won't fall. And then 10 points from Nikic. And Seller with a 12.
And another, not to interrupt you, Colin, but another offensive rebound. 15 on the night, and 15, Hannah Dunn is another made shot.
Yeah, and how do you guard that? How do you guard her? 6'5". She is easily one of the most unguardable players on this squad. Surprised to see her getting in so late, but already making an early impact right off the bench. 47-88, the final 35 seconds to commence.
And just looking for any sort of momentum. The turnaround from Dunn, the 6'5" forward. The sophomore from Auckland, New Zealand, tried to get fancy with it. Instead, took one extra step and turned it over via travel. But now, maybe a half-second difference between the shot and game clock. But Nicholson's third 3 of the night. She leads the way now with 16 points. Has had quite the fourth quarter.
Yeah, really turned it around. We mentioned how she was 4 for 23 over the past 2 games. And now she's 4 for 13, 2 for 10 from 3, and then cashed in 3 free throws, and that will be your game.
Young Harris, dominant, 38-point victory. They now move to 8-3 in Conference Carolinas action, 14-5 on the year, and they will look ahead to a matchup back at home against Mount Olive. The Trojans come to town on Saturday. As for SWU, a lot to fix. We'll see if they do. Join the Conference Carolinas digital network from Florence, South Carolina on Saturday when the Warriors take on Francis Marion. That's going to do it for us temporarily here in Central. Don't go anywhere, though, because we've got the men's game coming up next. SWU and Young Harris, the Mountain Lions and the Warriors, a big-time Conference Carolinas clash up next. But for now, we say so long, and we'll see you back here in about a half an hour for Game 2 of our doubleheader.